And I want to get to this story about these Greenpeace activists who just released this story about how easy it is to buy academics. You know, this is, and the thing is, there's no funny editing that has to go on to make this point. I'm referencing, of course, the Project Veritas guys who do this undercover stuff, chop up the video into multiple different ways so that they can create this sense of something nefarious happening. And even the vernacular, the visual vernacular of a hidden camera, folks, you should understand this. The hidden vernacular of a hidden the visual vernacular of a hidden camera also sort of projects some notion of something nefarious going on. And I say this as someone who, you know, has directed a couple of mock documentaries, including what was essentially a fake reality show with Gary Busey. I mean, it's been a while, but the idea of creating of stating certain things and creating an emotional sense with the placement of a camera and what we're used to seeing when we see hidden camera, right? I mean, every time you see hidden camera, most people, it has been in the context of some type of like police investigation in terms of like a 2020 thing. So the use of that hidden camera, seeing the camera angles actually sort of articulates to you without you even being conscious of it, that there's something nefarious going on. But in this case, we're just talking about emails. And so it's very straightforward. Greenpeace was posing via email, Greenpeace UK, as representatives from oil and gas companies, apparently from the Middle East. And they reached out to some, basically, I don't know if you call them really scientists, but spokespeople for climate science denial, who are ostensibly academics. One of the academics, William Happer of Princeton, was testifying at Ted Cruz's Senate hearing on how to promote climate denial, or what, I don't know what his official title was. Yesterday, I believe it was. And in Happer's case, the investigators said they were part of a Middle East oil and gas company, and they wanted to make sure that their commissioning of a report from Happer could not be traced. So Happer reached out to a lobbyist from Exxon who suggested channeling it through Donors Trust, which is an anonymous organization and essentially the dark money ATM of North American conservatives, right? It's basically a big slush fund, a way that you can launder money, make sure that's not sort of traceable or public in any way. So these Greenpeace activists followed up with Donors Trust, asking if they accepted money from Middle Eastern oil and gas company, which would ultimately be earmarked to this guy Happer. The trust said no problem as long as the cash came from an American bank account. We can take it from a foreign body. We just have to be extra cautious with that. The emails and recordings also show how Happer ran basically a fake peer review process through something called the Global Warming Policy Foundation. It is a UK-based climate denial think tank. And Happer, in the course of the correspondence, admits that his papers would not likely be published through the typical academic peer review process. He said, quote, "I would be glad to ask for a similar review for the first drafts of anything I write for your client, unless we decide to submit the piece to a regular journal with all the complications of delay, possibly quixotic editors and reviewers. That is the best we can do, and I think it'll be fine to call it peer review." And then there was another case of a guy named Frank Clement of Penn State University. He's a sociologist, and they asked him if he could publish a paper to, quote, counter damaging research linking coal to premature deaths. In particular, the World Health Organization figured that 3.7 million people die per year from fossil fuel pollution. Clemente said that he could be quoted in support of the report that they're using to counter that report, using his university job title, and that it would cost 15 grand for the 8 to 10 page paper. They asked for assurance that the oil and gas funding would be kept secret. Right? I mean, because the real issue here is like, okay, maybe this guy really believes that the WHO report is bunk and he hasn't gone into it. But if you're going to do it, the big issue, right, is disclosure. So ask for assurance that the oil and gas funding would be kept secret. Clement referenced past articles and even testimony in front of state legislatures. He said, in none of those cases is the sponsor identified. All my work is published as an independent scholar.
What's the market value of it if he's not identified that way?
Exactly. Quote, there is no requirement to declare source funding in the U.S., he explained. Clement also apparently took home the biggest paycheck of anybody in the particular sting. He said he was paid $50,000 for a report titled The Global Value of Coal, which was published by the International Energy Agency in 2012. So that's, I think, what they call in the entertainment business. That's my quote. That's my quote. And so I know this is going to come to a shock, but there is, as the right wing say, there is money in global warming science. It's, I am just blown away because I really thought all the real money came from the environmental groups.
I'm sure when they expose them,
as opposed to the oil and gas industry, who are living basically hand to mouth.
When you expose the environmental groups, I think the price points are going to stun everybody.
Stun everybody.
Like, hey, can you put out this report on children getting asthma and dying prematurely? That's about $500,000.
I'm going to require a tote bag.
Yeah.